how can I say that I love myself if I cannot actually trust and learn to listen to myself? If every other person's opinion of what I'm doing alters my course all the time, understand that you actually have to try life to live it out. You cannot love what you don't know. Hello, welcome back to another episode of It's Daddy Pod. I hope you're well. I hope you're feeling good. Yes, we are on a hot tour at this point till the season ends, and we'll leave it like that, okay? I love them, but read them in the comment section. Anyway, let's get into today's episode. We're talking about how to love yourself. I think for us to be better friends, better partners, better daughters, children, workers, whatever, I think that it stems from us knowing ourselves and loving ourselves. And a lot of times a lot of people say they love themselves, but they don't know themselves, right? And that's why we see people just going with public opinion a lot of the time, or trying so hard to be different without actually knowing the cause of that, of choosing that path. Of course, knowing yourself is a journey, right? Coming into the knowledge of yourself takes time, but it takes a lot of exploration as well. So I think a lot of times when we talk about self-love, you cannot love what you don't know. You cannot say you love God and you don't know Him. You cannot say you love your best friend and you don't know them. You have to know what they like, what they don't like. You get to know them. You explore them, right? You explore people, you explore things in order for you to know whether or not you like it. Just the same way you explore your Bible. You read it, you find things that make you uncomfortable. Maybe reading Revelations doesn't feel as great, and you carry that to God and say, oh God, I don't really enjoy this book. It's a very scary part, or maybe I'm projecting, I don't know, but I'm just saying. And you would have to confront that. You would have to take it to God and tell Him how you are feeling, right? He would show you Himself. The more you know Him, the more you explore the things that tell you about Him, that's the more you know who you are talking about. And so when you say you love God, you say it with authority, you say it with confidence, because you know that you know the person that you are saying you love. You cannot love what you don't know. Do you get what I mean? There's no way. And so when it comes to ourselves, you have to know yourself for you to say you love yourself. You cannot say you love yourself, but a lot of things that is rooted in knowing yourself is rooted in hatred, even in changing yourself, in wanting to be better, in wanting to, lose weight, gain weight, whatever. It is rooted in self-hate, not self-love. There's no way you can say you love yourself if that's the case. If you're constantly looking to change yourself, if you're constantly looking to rebrand yourself, you've not come into loving yourself. That's not love. There was a time I felt very confused about myself. I felt very triggered by people's perception of me, and whatever people thought just used to get to me. If someone said something, I'll be like, wait, but that's not how I am. That's not who I am. Like in my brain, I'm like, this is me, and this is the idea this person has of me. How? Why is it conflicting? Or someone's opinion of me and someone's advice would kind of alter everything I was doing. If I wanted to start a business and someone said, I don't think, creating journals makes sense, I might just be like, maybe I should not create a journal anymore. There's no way. But how can I say that I love myself if I cannot actually trust and learn to listen to myself? If every other person's opinion of what I'm doing alters my course all the time, how can I say that I have someone that is my Father in heaven and I cannot actually allow that voice to be the biggest voice in my head, regardless of how weird it might look to other people? It's not. It's contradictory, right? It's like when we look at our relationship with people, I think sometimes because a lot of people struggle with loving themselves and looking at themselves from the outside. Oh my God, you guys, there's this trend on TikTok where people are saying, I had coffee with my younger self, or a younger version of myself. I've never actually even sat down to think of it because I don't even like coffee. My younger self did not also like coffee, so I don't really know. But I'm being annoying. Anyway, it reminded me of these kind of conversations as well, where how would the younger version of you feel? And if the idea of loving yourself is rooted in taking everyone's opinion and allowing that to change your course, how is that then knowing yourself? So imagine if you were going to have coffee with a younger version of yourself, right? Imagine that relationship outside of you. You are now having a relationship with a version of you, right? There's a way you would approach that relationship as opposed to the way you're approaching your relationship with you, because you're looking at yourself as just, oh, I'm here, I'm existing. But if you look at yourself as, there is me, and I need to build a relationship with myself. I need to have conversations with me. I need to ask myself, do I like that? Or am I just doing it because everyone does it? Do I actually like going out at night? Or do I want to be in bed at 8? Like, I'm tired. Do I actually enjoy reading books? Or am I just reading books because I think it's cool to say that I read? Maybe I prefer articles. Maybe I prefer audiobooks. It's okay to have a personality. It is okay to be uniquely you. It is so important to have your own identity. In my opinion, you cannot talk about self-love without talking about self-knowledge, and knowledge actually comes first. It doesn't mean that you have to know yourself totally and 100% before you can love yourself. It is a journey. Both of them can happen at the same time, but I think curiosity has to lead first. Curiosity starts this journey for you, and the more you chase the curiosity about yourself, that's when knowledge comes in, and then love comes in, because you understand that you're a human being and that you are full of faults, you have flaws, but you're also amazing, and you can do good things, and you can do great things, and you can do hard things, and you have a routine, and you like certain things, and these things make you very happy. When you think of the sky, you're very excited. When you think of pistachios, you love it. When you think of dogs, you feel very warm inside. That's what makes you you. Yes, granted, there are other people that think of dogs and feel warm inside, but your own feeling of warmth is different, and that's why you are you. There's this constant push to rebrand who you are, to rebrand and rebrand and rebrand, and I think it's rooted in not knowing who you are in the first place. Like, if you are building a new brand, for example, you create a brand identity, right? And creating a brand identity is a process. You have to figure out who the target audience is, what emotions you want to kind of promote when they see your brand. What do you want your target audience to feel? What is the typical phrasing and wordings you want to use? What colors do you think, describe your brand? That's it. You have to build an identity first, right? When you've built an identity, and then you now say, okay, there's a brand identity for this brand. Now, if you don't have an identity, you cannot rebrand it. You cannot rebrand something that never had an identity. The only place a rebrand happens is when there's already an established identity of that thing, right? So in the word that rebrand is, most of the time, what you're trying to do is brand yourself. What you're trying to do is know yourself, as opposed to rebranding, because if your rebranding is rooted in what every other person is doing, if your rebrand is to look like someone else, is to act like someone else, is to be like everyone else, then it is not a rebrand. Because even when an existing brand wants to do a rebrand, right, you are now rebranding to fit based on the knowledge that you got before, based on the people that maybe the customers, the feedback that they've gotten, based on the change in, maybe they want to, attract a different target audience. There is a purpose to a rebrand. And look at it from the angle of our relationship with ourselves and the angle of our relationship with people, right? You love people the more you get to know them. They might be weird to other people, but you just really love them, right? Because you know them. You have more context into why they are the way they are. You have more context into the things that you enjoy and why they actually make you feel good and you like being around them. That is what makes you love something. The more you explore it, the more you love it. So if you keep running away from yourself, if you keep trying to do everything from the lens of escapism, you will never get to know yourself, and therefore you can never get to love yourself. You might think you love yourself, but on the hard days, on the days you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't feel that comfortable, can you stay longer? Can you look at yourself and say, okay, how can I change this perspective today? Can you have that conversation with yourself and actually build the relationship? Or are you just going to like shut the mirror, walk out of the room, put on your clothes and just act like everything is great? But then every time you come back, you return to yourself, you feel a certain level of sadness. Again, sadness, joy, all these things exist in ourselves, right? We will have days where we'll come back home and cry because we're not just feeling great. Maybe something happened, whatever. And there are days where like you have so much joy. These are things that if you love yourself and you learn to know yourself, you can come into it from a love angle rather than oh, I hate the way I'm just always here, but you just going in that cycle of self-pity and self-hate and dread, But if it's rooted in love, you are looking at yourself and you're saying, I can try this. I can ease into it. Maybe I can do once a week. How can I show up for myself? How can I build a relationship where if someone else was asking me to meet them outside today, I would be in a hurry to go and meet that person, right? I would try my best to stick to the routine and stick to the time that this person or the appointment that was set. How can I build that kind of relationship with me? How can I explore me so much that I can say, I want to go on this thing at this time and I'm going to try and be there. Even if I'm 15 minutes late, I want to be as early and on time for myself. Okay, so I'm going to share some tips. Hopefully they're helpful. Just tiny things on ways that you can get to know yourself and things that I think have been helpful for me. So maybe they'll be helpful for you. First thing, create a list of everything. Like create a list of activities that you like and literally just go on your notes app or wherever you find more comfortable. Create a note and just title it your name. I have a thing where I just write my name. I have that note and I just have a running list of everything I've done and I've enjoyed or maybe did not really enjoy or the things I like about myself. And I don't have to write like long sentences. I just write the beach, my friends, hanging out with friends, taking pictures. I love Polaroids. That's like one thing that I do and gives me so much joy, even though I spend money on buying the film. It annoys me, but I really like it. I take my Polaroid with me everywhere. I wrote that down. All those things embody who you are as a person, right? Regardless of how weird it might look to other people. If you like goats, write goats there that you like goats. And that's how you find someone that likes goats too. And both of you are purpose partners and amazing partners for the rest of your life. The more you accept yourself, you find someone that will accept you. Amazing. Of course, pray. Ask God to constantly reveal the image of who he wants you to be, his desired idea and version of you, that he will constantly reveal it to you. You have to pray. In knowing yourself, like there are so many things that people will try to tell you in life, right? People will project lovingly and unlovingly. They're not even trying to hurt you. Some people might be trying to hurt you, but not everyone is. And they might just project out of their own fear based off of their own experiences. And you just have to pray. You have to pray because it's God that created you. He has created you literally just you for a reason by the grace of God. And so you pray to show, like he shows you more and more about who you are, your talents, the things that you need to steward, the character that you should have, the unique parts of you. He has made you wonderfully complex. There's a reason, right? So if you look at your life as something that has purpose, you pray about it and you constantly ask God to reveal that to you. Everything is going to still lead to documentation, right? But also writing down some of the things that don't feel like good for you. So it might be maybe when no one is watching or when you are alone, what are some things that make you uncomfortable? When you're hanging out in a group, what are some things that someone said that you just didn't really like it? Maybe you don't know why you didn't like it. Maybe you don't have the actual reason at that time, but it makes sense to document it because then you can track, and maybe you go out another time and someone does the same thing or someone does something similar. It helps you to connect the dots and say, okay, I don't like when people actually say things in this manner. I think it makes me very uncomfortable. And then why does it make you uncomfortable? Like you can now track and kind of create a sense or make sense of like what exactly irks you, annoys you, makes you uncomfortable. It allows you to build a relationship with yourself so that you can also kind of remove yourself from this kind of uncomfortable situations or be able to communicate that all these things make you uncomfortable. And this is where journaling comes in, right? I love to journal because I can say all these things, but also sometimes I just write it in my notes app. You know, the TikTok that says you don't see a girl's notes app. My notes app, it's taking the memory. So sometimes I have my notes app with me and I'll just quickly write something down. And sometimes I'll write it in my prayer journal while I'm praying. It depends on, but I would say like document. And, you know, ask yourself questions. Do you actually like games night? Do you enjoy it? Or do you think people are just too loud and it's not your thing? All these things, they matter. Write them down. Understand that you actually have to try life to live it out. You actually have to try your life in order to live it out. It is not something that you just watch and it happens for you. You actually have to go out, try it out, and live it out in order for it to be a life worth living. The more you do that, you now get into the rhythm of understanding that it is your life. You can change, you can shift gears whenever, however you want, according to God's will, by the grace of God. If you have any more tips, please share them in the comment section. I'm always looking for tips like this, but hopefully all of these that I've shared will be helpful for you guys. Okay. You guys, my favorite item for this episode is my hat, actually. I got a few hats when I went to Korea last year, and this is one of my favorites from my collection. I really like it. It's very warm, especially in this like weather, which is really cold. And it's actually cold right now where I'm filming because I had to turn off everything for me to actually just have better sound. So yeah, my hat, there's no way I can actually share a link or anything like that. I actually bought it while I was walking around with my friend. Oh my god, I think I got like 4, but this one and maybe another one that I'm going to wear on that episode is like one of my favorites. But I don't have anything as exciting for a favorite item for this week. This is just what I've been enjoying, so I wanted to share. So we've come to the end of the season. I know. Not just the episode. This is the final episode of the season. If you don't know, it's that the podcast is actually a seasonal podcast. This means I'm not always going to put out an episode every week of the year. I am just putting out an episode per season, every week per season. And so we've done, I think, 13 episodes by now. And that's the end. We're wrapping things up. We've actually gotten so many new listeners. Going on video as well is something that was very scary for me, and I'm so glad I did it. I don't even know how to kind of do the numbers. It's not like, you know, the episodes are doing a lot of views, but I think it has just exposed me and the podcast to, you know, different people. I'm very grateful, very thankful. So I think, you know, it's time for a giveaway. To wrap things up really nicely, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. This is my first giveaway ever. The items up for the giveaway, the instructions and all the requirements and details will be in the show notes below. It will also be in the description box of the YouTube video. I'm so glad that we pushed through to this episode. I know a lot of people might have gotten off right now and not a lot of people are even listening to this point, but I'm really glad that I pushed through. I'm very proud of myself and I'm very grateful to God for strength. Thank you so much for everyone that has listened, everyone that has kind of shared any episode with their friends. I'm so grateful. The friendship series did really well. You're helping me figure out what makes sense on the channel, what makes sense on the podcast, and just how to keep structuring and keep going. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so thankful. And I pray that God blesses you and that you have a beautiful, beautiful time. I'll talk to you soon, maybe in a few months. Bye.